Well, let's jump in now to the section on Describe Cloud Computing, and more specifically, what is cloud computing? Why are we here? Why are we talking about it today? Well, first, let's think about where we've come from. We've come from the traditional data center. A lot of enterprises still have data centers. They're going through cloud migrations right now. But one of the things to keep in mind is we used to have to rack and stack servers every time somebody wanted a new operating system, Windows server or Linux server. We would go and rack a server, plug the cables, the networking in, etc. Later on, VMware came along. We could put applications and an operating system, multiple apps and OSs on one box, and this was fantastic. And with the rise of automation, now we could do that at the click of a button. Well, taking that further led to the rise of AWS as well as Microsoft Azure, and both of those cloud providers, along with others like Google, Oracle, etc., lead the way now in providing cloud computing. But what then is cloud computing? This is the question we're trying to answer. Cloud computing is the delivery of computing services over the internet, enabling faster innovation, flexible resources, and economies of scale. Well, let's break it down into some of those services. Compute services. Perhaps I want lots and lots of CPUs to crunch through various items. Maybe I've got batch processing to do. Maybe I just need virtual machines up and running. Compute services are available on demand via the cloud. Storage services. Perhaps instead of racking storage arrays, I want access to petabytes upon petabytes of storage. That's available to me. Networking services. I don't want to have to go and plug in all the routers, the switches, etc. I want to be able to virtually construct my network in the cloud. That's available to you in cloud computing as well, along with things like application services. Perhaps I don't even want to run the operating system anymore, and I want to run my .NET or my Python application that I've coded directly on an app service. Well, that can also be provided in the cloud, along with data and analytics services. And this example is really good. I work with a lot of healthcare providers, and they use data and analytics services pretty extensively. X-ray data, things like that, to basically put in the cloud, crunch through it, and spit out the information that they need to get back to their patients. Taking this a step further in the what is cloud computing theme, let's think about what it is and what it isn't. Well, cloud computing is about renting resources versus purchasing hardware. So again, back in the day, we would have to go and buy the hardware, procure it ahead of time, especially with supply chain issues we've had recently, get that gear into the data center, and then you can put your resources on top of it. Here, we just rent the resources. Microsoft puts the resources there in Azure, and we rent basically what we need. And that comes on to point two, pay for what you use. So you pay just for what you need. And sometimes you would overbuy because you weren't sure exactly how much you would need. Now you can sort of tap into it on demand. Think of the electricity grid and how we tap into electricity on demand. We don't all necessarily have a power plant in our own home. Run your applications in someone else's data center. So I think this is key as well. There's still a data center somewhere. We're still running virtual machines in our applications somewhere, but they're in Microsoft's data centers when we're running them in Azure. The cloud provider is responsible for the physical hardware and all the facilities necessary to execute your work. Now, you are responsible for some components as well, and you'll see this note here. Cloud provider responsible for keeping the services they provide up to date, but everything you provide on top of it is still your responsibility, and you'll learn more in the shared responsibility model. With that said, you can see the benefits of cloud computing here just in describing it. There's lots and lots we can do, but the key things to keep in mind are it's about renting resources versus purchasing hardware, and you're only paying for what you use, but lots and lots of services are available and more keep on coming.